As always, it's a pleasure, it's an honor to be with you, to share here in Bhakti Center, and specifically in Soul Talks. Some of you I recognize, you're becoming regulars here at Soul Talks as well, which is wonderful. Our topic, when more is never enough. An important topic because sometimes life, particularly in the modern framing of life and what it ought to be, it's sometimes described as a rat race. We're in a wheel. We run, we go faster and faster, but we don't appear to be arriving at the promised land of satisfaction and happiness. It's always something else that we need, always a next level of achievement that will then give us that satisfaction or happiness that we desire. And so we're going to explore that. We'll explore it together, and we'll explore it within the context of the yoga tradition, the yoga texts, particularly in the Bhakti tradition. There are two main yoga texts, one more famous and another less well known, maybe in the Western world. So the more famous one, I would like to take a guess. Bhagavad Gita, yeah, saw lips moving around the room, even if I didn't hear the audible response. And then just as important, and some might even say even more culturally in India, more influential, is another text called looking around, yeah, say that a bit louder because you have the right answer. Srimad Bhagavatam, yeah, well done. Srimad Bhagavatam, otherwise called the Bhagavata Purana. Bhagavad Gita, I think one of the reasons why it's more widely known, it's 700 verses, 18 chapters, whereas the Bhagavata Purana, it's 18,000 verses. It's a lot more to go through, a lot more to grapple with, to learn. So we are going, the difference, another key difference is that the Bhagavad Gita, it is purely philosophical. It's a philosophical discussion between two personalities. They stay in the same story frame, whereas the Bhagavata Purana has many, many different stories. We're going to explore one of those stories together this evening. What does it mean what is the dream? In our society, we talk about chasing the dream. Any other phrases that we have in relation to the dream? A particular dream that's still alive maybe, or maybe no longer alive? The American dream, right? What's the American dream? What's this idea of the dream that we chase, or the American dream? What is the dream?
Material success.
Material success, okay, yeah. Anything more specific around that success? The American dream? Yes.
A white picket fence, big mansion, 2 yachts.
Okay, so that's very specific. A white picketed fence, a mansion, 2 yachts, 2 yachts. Okay. Yes.
No constraints.
No constraints. Okay. Yeah. Anything else? about that dream. People from all over the world want to come to America to live, to realize the American dream. The land of the free. Okay, so freedom. Yeah, so no constraints speaks to that value of freedom. I am from Australia, and Australians tend to really value fairness. Our whole social system, it's around people, everyone having something and being looked after and fair. In America, I've seen, observed, it's a different value. It's, you're free to really pursue the dream. Yes?
I was going to say hard work.
Yeah, hard work. Okay. So that's okay. So you have introduced something very important. We need to pay something for that dream. So there's a promise that there is a dream. It's available to everyone equally, regardless of color, background, race. No matter who you are, you can, in principle, pursue the dream and become the richest person in the world. Come to America from South Africa, right? The richest person in the world. Currently, came to America, pursued the dream, Silicon Valley. But you need to be prepared to put in the hard work. That's the deal, basically. What else? Some sacrifice needs to be made to pursue that dream. I beg your pardon? You need. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Any other thoughts on what we should be prepared or might be prepared to sacrifice, to pay, to pursue the dream? Hard work, yeah, we're kind of stuck there. Hard work, it's just, it's lots of hard work. Yeah. Huh? So college tuition, yeah, possibly. You need to invest in an education to really take advantage of this dream. Ideally, I mean, in principle not, but ideally, the pathway is college degree can help a lot. And then that comes with a college debt as well, right? So that's another trade-off. You're prepared to make 4 years college, take on that debt. Yes? Happiness. So you've got to sacrifice some happiness as well. In order to get that longer term satisfaction of having arrived at the dream, you need to be prepared to sacrifice some happiness now. And you might sacrifice your social life as well, because, yeah, I mean, these are kind of luxuries at this stage. Sacrifice your social life, present happiness, work hard, sacrifice your time, and you're taking on debt now as well with your college degree, possibly. So, yeah, other sacrificing time. Huh?
Friends and family.
Friends and family, yeah. So social life, friends and family. Maybe the people that you go to college with, you might have some friends there, or office friends at work, work friends. That might be your social group. Some of you are thinking, Stop talking about me. This is getting too close to home now. And, it's not a criticism of anyone. We hold up the mirror to ourselves as well. I also work in society, and so, this is our civilization. It's important to have the conversations though, right? What else do we sacrifice? Okay, so if we are pursuing the dream in New York City, we might be sacrificing space, the size of our dwelling. We'll put up with a shoebox because, it's not the dwellings are quite small. Coming from Australia, the dwellings are quite small here. Any of you coming from, I guess, anywhere else in the United States will affirm the same. The New York City studio, 1-bedroom apartment. There's not a lot of moving space, not a lot of space there. Okay, I think we have covered this topic. Maybe not sufficiently, but we have the idea. So we sacrifice for a dream, something that will give us happiness once we achieve it. And I would say we keep getting promises. Once I get that job, then I'll be happy. Once I get the promotion, I'll be happy. Once I get the bigger apartment, I'll be happy. So we expect that as we make achievement in pursuing this dream, our happiness should start to arrive for us, and we should be more satisfied. We should be more fulfilled. What's interesting is you get people who actually reach the top of that ladder. They arrive there and they look around, and there is no next promise for them because they really have fame, wealth, followers. I'm talking about the American dream, those who actually the famous movie stars and the billionaires and the CEOs, and they kind of reach in and they look around and they say, whoa, I'm supposed to be happy here. I have reached the pinnacle of the American dream. I have the stuff that is supposed to make me happy. And I look around me. Neither am I happy. Let's think about this dream a little. Where did this dream come from? What is the basis for this dream? We find ourselves in pursuit of a dream, of an ideal, of a value. In the rat race. Where does this idea come from? Welcome, welcome. Be comfortable. Find a seat. Where do we receive this value? Yeah.
Protestants.
From where, sorry?
Protestant work ethics.
Okay. Max Weber, Protestant. Max Weber was a sociologist who wrote a book on the Protestant work ethic. Okay, possibly. Thank you for that insight. Any other thoughts? The question is there, and it relates to the dream of happiness being something that shows up for us at a certain point when we have acquired or accrued a certain amount of wealth or a position, following, fame, and so on. Yeah, and the question is, so where do we get that idea? The culture. Yeah, thank you for that. So we get it from influence from other people. Thank you for that. Yep. So social influence, cultural influence, historical Protestant work ethic as an influence. So historical influence. Manohar? Huh? Commercials, yeah. So media, marketing, absolutely. And it becomes more and more pervasive, that media. Social forms of media, even more influential because it's our social group that are telling us of certain values.
I think when you were saying suffering, maybe when we suffered enough, we may get the, our desire for this dream may get stronger and stronger. That I must somehow get out of this situation.
Right, okay, yeah, thank you for that. So the experience of suffering leads us to want to find it out. We look and we see that media, society are telling us these are the steps to take. This is what you can have and you will be happy. So these are scripts that we receive. We are scripted from a very young age through cultural influence, education, role models, peers, media, different forms of media that we engage with, whether we're reading or watching or listening. All of these different influences, they script us with certain values, certain mindsets, mental maps. A type of programming, you might say. And then that influence that drives us to behave, to aspire, to engage in certain ways. We pursue the dream. We chase the dream. The dream, often referred to as the American dream, but let me tell you, Australians have a very similar type dream, as do people in the UK, as do people across other parts of Europe and Asia. Western civilization gives us a certain idea, and with the spread of Western civilization, this notion of happiness, satisfaction through material acquisition, it has become very widespread. That said, it is not entirely new. I'm going to take you to an ancient tale from the Bhagavata Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam, that we discussed earlier. It involves a king. He was not just a king, he was an emperor. That is a king of kings named Pururava. He was a great person. He was beautiful, handsome. He was kind. He was magnanimous. He was wealthy, powerful, famous, strong. He had all desirable attributes. His glory was so great, according to this description from the 11th book of the Srimad Bhagavatam, that one day the great teacher, sage, seer named Narada spoke about Pururava in the court of Indra. In Indian cosmology, the court of Indra is a heavenly realm. Above the earthly realm, you have the court of Indra, a celestial realm. Not the supreme abode, the place of the Godhead, but a realm above our earthly realm of demigods, apsaras, that is, goddesses. So Pururava's glory was once sung. His praise was sung in the court of Indra. And that is an amazing thing, because generally the celestials don't sing the praises of mortals who live on earth. Now, one of the persons who heard of Pururava's glory was an apsara, a celestial nymph named Urvasi. She's famous. She appears in many other stories from the Vedic literature, such as the Mahabharata, the Ramayana as well. A famous celestial nymph. She hears Narada describe Pururava, and what happens? Her heart is pierced with Cupid's arrow. She falls in love. And as things were, she was caused to fall to earth. So these two things happened at the same time. And so she approached the emperor Pururava. She said to him, although I am a goddess and belong to the heavens, and although you are a human, merely a human, a mortal, I have heard of your greatness, and I have fallen in love with you, and I wish to be your companion. When she fell to earth, she came with two little lambs. I live on the Upper East Side, and I see people all day long walking with their little dogs, their pets. And sometimes not walking, sometimes carrying. Otherwise, they have them in little prams as well. These little dogs are like their children. Urvasi had two little lambs. They were like her children. So she said to him, she has some conditions to Pururava. I'm in love with you. I wish to be your companion. But I have a few things I have a few needs. You have to look after my lambs. They're like my kids. And she's a little bit picky with regard to her diet. She'll only eat food cooked in clarified butter, in ghee. In Ayurveda, in yoga, it's considered pure food, so that's a condition for. These are her. What do they call them? When you have a condition, that's a deal breaker. These are her deal breakers. Got to look after my lambs. I can only eat food cooked in clarified butter. And 3, I never want to see you nude. She's in love with him, but he is a human after all, so it's she draws a line there. So Pururava, he agrees to all of her conditions. He is an emperor after all. He can look after some lambs. He can he can arrange for whatever food she wants, and okay, yeah, the nude thing, we'll work with that as well. Are they happy? Yeah, they're happy. For many years they enjoy, or many, how does it say? Many days. Many days. They enjoyed one another's company. She's a goddess. Her body is fragrant like the saffron of a lotus. I don't know if you've seen a lotus flower in bloom. It has, who's seen a lotus up close in bloom? Some of you, so beautiful, right? And the fragrance, whoa, celestial, otherworldly. You smell it and you feel like you're in heaven. And at the center of the lotus are these saffron filaments with pollen. So very, very beautiful. Her body was like that. The fragrance of her body was like that. So Pururava is very, very happy with her. They experience jubilation in one another's companionship. Meanwhile, Indra, remember who Indra was? He was the king of heaven. He was the one who held court where Narada had told the glory of Pururava. He's feeling that his court has become empty without Urvasi, his chief dancer, Apsara, who keeps the court looking gorgeous just with her presence. He feels without Urvasi there, things are just not the same. And so, what does Indra do? What would Indra do in a situation like that? He wants his chief Apsara back. He knows Urvasi has her conditions, the deal breakers. He's going to find a way to break the deal. I don't know, slip other food into Urvasi's plate that's not cooked in butter or something like that. So he sends some of his agents, wasn't the food thing, to steal the lambs. Think again about those dogs. You know, someone steals your girlfriend's dog or your partner's dog. So this is a serious thing. They came in the night. They stole Urvasi's 2 lambs and made off with them. And then she, realizing that her lambs had been stolen, chastised Pururava. Pururava, what are you doing sleeping there while my lambs are being stolen? You haven't been able to protect them. You are useless. She's emotional. She's upset. Pururava is feeling hurt. He's agitated. He jumps up out of bed, grabs his sword to go and rescue the lambs. He's able to find the thieves, bring the lambs back. But as he enters the home, these celestials, the celestial thieves, they become radiant with light, and Urvasi sees Pururava in the nude. So 2 things have gone wrong here now. The lambs were stolen. Okay, he got them back, but they were in danger. And she saw him naked, so she leaves. Pururava chases after her, calling out, Urvasi, he's like a madman. Oh, my wife, don't leave me, stop. But she doesn't hear him. Pururava, well, you can imagine he's now devastated. He is, everything becomes empty for him. He is not able to engage in any of his duties, ruling the empire. He neglects those duties. After I think a year, he meets or he sees her again in Kurukshetra, which is interesting. So connection to the Bhagavad Gita there. Kurukshetra is where the Bhagavad Gita was spoken. He sees her in Kurukshetra. Urvasi, my wife, you abandoned me. I haven't been the same since. Please come back. But she wasn't ready. He fell down before her. devastated, so she said, I'll come and see you one day a year. And poor Rava, he would be happy for that one day and then devastated for 364 days in between. It wasn't working. He told her after, I think, the second year, this isn't working. So she said, well, maybe you ask the Gandharvas for help. They told her to do told him to do a sacrifice. Okay, what should poor Rava do? They said, do a sacrifice, you can reach the heavens, and you can stay with Urvasi forever. So he does that by means of fire. This is a Vedic process. He performs the sacrifice. He goes to Urvasi's planet. So the question here is, Pururava, he reaches Urvasi's planet. Is he happy? Is he satisfied there? No?
Satisfaction never ends.
We kind of already set this up a bit with our earlier discussion. Pururava reaches the planet of the celestials. He reaches a heavenly realm. After so much emotional distress, after so much effort and sacrifice on his side, he's able to reach her abode. But he looks around and he says, is this it? His insight is called Aila Gita, or the Song of the Emperor. So some of you are familiar with the Bhagavad Gita. This is another Gita found in the Bhagavata Purana, the Song of the Emperor. This is his insight once he reaches heaven and he's there residing with Urvasi. He said, I'm supposed to be a mighty emperor, the king of kings on earth. But he said, I became bewildered. I became like a toy animal. Although powerful, I was neglected. I was given up so easily by Urvasi as insignificant grass. Shamelessly, I ran after her, crying like a mad person. And even though I gained that which I desired, I was never fulfilled. He gives a nice example. He said it's like you have a fire and you try to satisfy that fire. So let's say you have a fire raging, you say, oh, this fire's, hungry. Let me feed it to satisfy it. Let's put some more wood on it. Will the fire say, oh, thank you, I'm satisfied now. Let me become peaceful. So Pururava, he says, the more wood you put on the fire, the more hungry it gets. The more I try to satisfy my desire, the stronger those desires become. They always want something more. I become disappointed, I become agitated when the desires are not fulfilled. I feel worthless, despondent if I get something and then lose it or it's taken from me. And even when I have it, the more I get, somehow the desire itself is insatiable. But all of this is in Pururava's head. That dream, where did it come from? Who was he before he had this desire, this need? Who is he afterwards? So here's some more of his insight. I allowed my intelligence to become dull, my mind confused. I lost myself in all of this. I lost myself. I started to identify with a dream. I started to identify with an illusion, and I lost myself. How many of us might have experienced something like that? Losing ourselves as we take on an identity, a persona, of a sense of who we're supposed to be, who we try to be to fit in, to be accepted, to be liked. He has insight about attachment to the body as well. He says, these bodies, we become attached to these bodies, but what are they? Flesh, blood, bones, bile, mucus. All of that drama, and the body itself is something that will grow old, diseased, eventually die. These are sobering messages. Bhagavatam and Bhakti are not anti-love or anti-relationships. They have their place. What we're talking about here is an extreme example. Bhagavatam gives us these wonderful extreme examples so that we can see the effects of taking these things to the extreme. So how to regain that intelligence, how to gain control over the mind and that illusion, that dream that carries us away. All of this, we said, is in Pururava's head. Something, an idea that he created and then pursued, but actually has little to do with him as a soul. So when he loses sight of himself, he's losing sight, okay, not just of his role with duties as an emperor, he's lost sight of himself as a soul, identified not just with his body, Urvasi's body, the pleasure that they may enjoy, identified with an idea that he created around all of that. So what's the insight for us? What are we to learn from Pururava's story? You can reverse some of this. If he's lost his intelligence, if he's confused in his mind, if he's pursuing an illusion and has lost himself, sight of his own spiritual nature, we can reverse all of this. How to make the intelligence strong. How to bring clarity to the mind. How to become aware of our spiritual nature and engage with the world, but also be aware of the illusions. Be in the world, but also see through. What's there and what's a dream that we have made out of it all. Huh? To have clarity. Yeah, focus and clarity. That's what yoga is about. In Bhakti Yoga, we discuss wisdom as we're doing now. To make the intelligence strong, give us discernment. Discernment means that we can be conscious that we're making a choice, not just acting out programming, acting out a script that we have received from society, but to observe with a little distance and say, okay, is this really my choice now? Is this really in our best interests? Maybe we'll engage, but with that discernment, with an understanding of a need. There's certain needs that we have as beings in society. But maybe not the expectation necessarily that I have to keep pursuing a rat race, keep moving higher and higher on the rungs of a ladder to one day be happy. Maybe that happiness is already with me. Maybe it's not out there but in there. Not out there but in here. Maybe I don't need to get myself to be with a celestial nymph or be transported to another place, heavenly realm, to be happy. Maybe it's possible here, now, today. With discernment, with mental clarity, being able to see through the illusion to find the self. In yoga teaching, the self is spiritual by nature, happy by nature, loving by nature, joyful by nature. Maybe we can access that even now. Maybe we're even experiencing it now, but we're ignoring it because we have to find the happiness somewhere else to be successful. Maybe even day to day we're getting glimpses of that happiness that is our spiritual nature, but that can't be the real happiness. That's out there, somewhere else. That'll be achieved when I am able to attain the dream. Chandra.
So, who's the we that's creating this dream?
Yeah, so we discussed some of that earlier. At around,
Sorry, I came
yeah,
late.
no, that's fine. We said that there's programming that we receive through different influences, culture, peer groups, education, media, society,
everything around us.
right? Yeah. Yeah.
So then, the we, that's who would be not under this dream and illusion. Next question.
Yeah, thank you, Chandra. So Soul Talks is where we can come to consider these questions and to test the promises and to get discernment, to make the intelligence strong, to get clarity, to see through the illusions or the dreams. There's one last point. One last point. We've reversed engineered Pururava's condition here. And we've identified principles of yoga that we can apply in life today to be happy now. There's one last very important point. And that is divine grace as well. Pururava says, who but the Supreme Godhead, who is beyond the material conditioned realm, can help me save my consciousness, awaken my spiritual consciousness that has been stolen by illusion. So he reaches out to the divine for divine grace, along with making the intelligence strong, developing discernment, getting mental clarity, rediscovering our spiritual nature. All of that can be accelerated with help, support from the divine. When we chant, when we engage in kirtan or japa meditation, we're not just pausing from engagement with the world. We're not just focusing the mind, putting it under the direction or the guardianship, custodianship of our intelligence to make the intelligence strong. We're not just connecting inwards with our spiritual nature in meditation. We're also chanting sacred mantra that invokes divine presence, divine grace. And when we receive that divine grace, then we can amplify the effects of our efforts, of our endeavors in yoga. We can accelerate the effects of our efforts in yoga. So we'll conclude here. Any questions, reflections, comments?
I got
Yes.
something for you.
Sure.
Okay, so you were saying this engaging with the external, all this surrounds us. So I come from a Buddhist background. Yeah, I was never too much inclined towards Christianity. Right? So the Buddhists also, they have that, is engaging from material pursuits that are entangling, that don't really get you anywhere. But that's only available to the monastic order, to the monks
Uh-huh.
who live in temples and whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of Buddhist monks, they go to extremely rigorous training.
Yeah.
Once you're ordained, it's like kind of like, they got rules, you know.
Yeah.
If you break the rule, you're out of the Sangha.
Okay.
And you're back to struggling out there in the material world.
Right.
But Krishna consciousness allows people from all to enter into the process of bhakti at different levels of entry points to reach, say, like what you know, like Indrajumna Maharaj or Ramnath Maharaj, you know, our great leaders who have attained the level that they have to constantly travel around the world and enliven the devotees in one whatever things like here, the Bhakti Center and yourself. So, for the benefit of the audience here, the class here, could you explain more about entry point into the Bhakti Yoga process, which everyone can take up?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So, entry points to Bhakti Yoga that we offer here at the Bhakti Center. There's Kirtan. That's the most powerful Bhakti practice, actually. So in Bhakti Center on Tuesdays and Thursdays, there's open Kirtan. Some of you I know are regular participants. Otherwise, if you don't know about the Kirtan, Tuesdays at 7:30 and Thursdays at 7 till 9. All are welcome. We actually have a slide for this. There are wisdom study groups, so community groups that you can be a part of as well and study Gita or other Bhakti texts. Champak here and Damodar, and they lead one of these groups. Gaurasharan there, one of our monks, he leads some of these groups. And there are groups that are forming all year long, year round. So you could be part of a group like that to go deep into this study. Also form relationships. So Sangha, you mentioned the Sangha. Sangha is really important. When you join a group like that, then you also develop friendship, relationships. There's a Sangha. You feel yourself part of a Sangha in that way. What else is... Yes?
I guess on the reflection part, this is my first time
Yeah,
here and
welcome.
learning about anything like Bhakti. I thought this came in your lesson today. It's such a telling time because I had just been struggling with such an issue of self
Uh-huh.
the past couple months, 9 months really,
Yep.
of happiness within myself.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's like, I think one of the last questions on the last slide was, what gives gifts? Is it aligned with your true self?
Yeah.
And I feel like I've just got into alignment, and I really, I don't know, happiness I feel like is aligning with yourself. Like that's a good way to check. I think you were asking earlier, like I think you said focus or clarity or something. But how to find happiness, I think it's finding alignment, like what resonates with you, like things that you find are true to you.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, I just thought the story to
Pururava? Yeah. Yeah, well done.
Kind of lost himself as an emperor.
He did.
Lost all of his identity.
Yeah.
And it's like, was he really staying true to himself and chasing that woman?
Yeah.
I don't know, I just feel like it's a good sign of like a check mark for yourself. for
Yeah.
happiness.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you for that. Thank you for that takeaway. Well articulated. And so understanding or finding one's self is so crucial. The Bhagavad Gita, that we have also referenced a few times this evening, it involves a dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. Arjuna is a prince and a warrior. The context is a battlefield. But when he's faced by the battle, and the fact that it involves violence, he wants to go and basically join a monastery. And Krishna says, but you are a prince and you are a warrior. It is your nature to organize and to protect justice. You might join a monastery, but you'll end up defending, organizing, fighting. So you really need to understand how to be spiritual where you are. Honor your nature and bring the spiritual practice while honoring your nature. So very critical point of the Bhagavad Gita. There's another dimension to this, or another element to this, because our nature in this body, psychophysical nature, it is the conditioned nature that we have with this body. But even deeper than that, there is our spiritual nature, which is eternal. So we need to work with the psychophysical nature that we have now, that we have inherited as we are born into these bodies. Find the way to engage that as an offering of, engage that nature as an offering of service, and find our place, our happiness in that. At a deeper level, the deeper work is to awaken awareness of our eternal nature as a soul. Because the body will decline, and at one stage, we'll leave this body. What have we done for the soul? How have we come to know ourselves as a spiritual being? And so that's the deeper work of yoga. It's two things together. Yoga teaches to align our conditioned nature and live our best lives, our best selves, the best version of ourselves as our conditioned nature in spiritual alignment, as we uncover self-realization or awareness of our spiritual nature or identity as well. Good, yes please.
I'm curious from another perspective in Prahlada's story. He gives up a lot of his opulences for love. And in a way that's analogous to Bhakti, where you give up a lot of the materials
Yeah.
for love and devotion.
Yeah.
So one, I'm curious about that side of the story, and second, I'm also curious how the story actually ends. Like, he has this realization, but he's still in the heavenly kingdom.
Yeah. Good. So what's your name?
Anurag.
Anurag. Thank you, Anurag. So Anurag is often asking some subtle questions here. Anurag's observing that Pururava, he's lost himself in love, and he really did lose himself. It's not. It wasn't a healthy relationship. You see the problems in the relationship right from the very beginning when Urvasi says, "I'm a celestial, you're a human, but I love you, and these are my conditions." It's already kind of like, okay, yeah, this is going to be difficult. But you're saying he lost himself in love, and in Bhakti Yoga, there is an emphasis on cultivating love that is divine love. And so the soul's love for the divine, the rapture of a soul, as we awaken our spiritual nature and we connect with the supreme spiritual source, and we awaken that relationship between the soul and the supreme soul. It's a relationship of love, of bhakti, of devotion. And in Bhakti Yoga, we want to live our life as an offering of loving devotion. So, very good. And the Bhakti teachers, they say you take that love of the illusion and you redirect it towards the divine. And that's a permanent love. It fulfills because it's the soul. It's not just about the flesh or the body or an illusion. It fulfills because it is rooted in reality. And so the ultimate love is the love of the soul for the Supreme Soul, and that rapture that is awakened through a practice of bhakti. It is called prema. And so, yeah, a nice observation. Poor Rava, he could have transmuted, redirected that love in that way. It's not told. He doesn't get to that point in the story as it's told. It does say that he has this insight. He sings that song, and then at the very end, it says that he cultivated a spiritual life and he was able to achieve the supreme spiritual abode. That's as much as we're told. So we get his insights in his song. It's more about his waking up from the dream of the illusion. And then there's just that one reference that I need to take shelter of the divine. But as far as awakening a love and a rapture in that love for the divine, that's not described, at least in the Bhagavatam. But it does say that he reached the supreme destination of the yogi. Yeah, thank you. Yes?
So I wanted to say something, and I don't know if it's going to relate, but when you were talking about like your experience with happiness and like cultivating this happiness from within, it made me think about like something that I've been like reflecting on the past couple of years. So I graduated from FIT here in Manhattan. So I have a bachelor's degree in fine art. And I basically have just been reflecting on the fact that when I actually got the degree and I was like showing my work from my thesis, I felt like very like empty.
Uh-huh.
And it really surprised me because, you know, I thought, oh, you know, I worked so hard for this. And this was fall of 2018. And since then, I began meditating and focusing on energy and connecting and stuff like that. And I realized that I wanted some kind of validation,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't realize that that's what I was emanating and what I was after. And just the way that I was brought up, it's kind of like from a very young age, I just wanted to please everyone else. And so it's like you go on and you get an education, and sometimes you can act out the same exact pattern, and it seems so normal because you see everyone else around you striving and performing. And so I already had that like ingrained in me that I just didn't want to disappoint anyone. So I didn't have any sense of true understanding of myself and what I really, really wanted. So even though I accomplished something, and even though it's nice to have a degree, I actually felt really empty and devastated, and I couldn't figure out why for a long time. I thought, oh, you know, what am I missing? What am I doing wrong? I always feel empty, like it's not enough. And that's always been like a theme in my life of just feeling like I'm not enough. And I realized that I needed to go on a journey, and that I'm on a journey of literally just taking care of myself and being comfortable with myself, because from a young age I didn't have an understanding of that. And it's so easy to not have an understanding of that, to truly just love yourself, you know? And so the environment, I'll just say the environment that I grew up in was very loud. And I know I'm not the only one that grew up in an environment like that. So, yeah, you know, maybe I was just thinking with Guru Sava, just from a different perspective, his reaction or response, maybe it was like bound to happen because there was something within him that was not, I don't know, established. And so he, you know, maybe he was just an idea, like introduced to this celestial love that was very pure. And when he didn't like fulfill his part of the agreement, like which was to like not be like naked in front of her, maybe it was like too much for him to handle, you know, because he started to question his intelligence. But my idea is that his intelligence was already there and is still there, but it was the emotional aspect that had him question his reality, because perhaps he never knew what love truly was to begin with, at least love that is in true balance, a love that is balanced, you know. So he's like introduced to this celestial love, and then it shifts and it changes, and he's like fragmented after. But if you really think into it more deeply, or if you ask the question of like, well, what was his experience of love before that? What was there before that? What was this person's history before being exposed to such a magnificent celestial divine being that like came down to earth and was just like and then left? I don't know, I just think it sounds a bit funny.
I appreciate all the insight and analysis you have put into that. That's wonderful, and I really appreciate you sharing your own story as well. And along with going in and engaging energetically and learning to love yourself as well, I would just offer from my heart that, if you have a gift in art, that's also something you can offer. You can, so you were saying validation was a thing, but offering it with love from the heart as an offering to the divine, that's a beautiful thing. Finding fulfillment in that, the act of offering the art itself is beautiful. We're going to need to conclude there because we are over time, but we encourage all of you to continue the discussion over dinner. I'll hand over to Champak.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.